All right. Copy the invite, sending it now. All right. So for this one, we actually kind of got to keep the window tight. I'm gonna go ahead and just start now, and you guys can go ahead and catch up on um, the recording, right? So let's talk about some sectors. First and foremost, let's take a look just real quick. My take on futures. We're just gonna look at the weekly. Out of the weekly close. All right, cool. Let's get rid of that. Okay. So weekly closed, bullish, right? We went 3-2 up here on the Dow. Nasdaq with the 2-2 continuation currently inside, but creating fair value gaps along the way. 2-2 up on the weekly for the S&P as well too. So right now on the weeklies, just still looking, bullish. I still maintain, even with pullbacks along the way, that we're still going to be seeking out external range liquidity, which is up here. So even if we do have a pullback along the way, we're probably just going to trade back into a fair value gap, bounce from there, and then again, we're going to go ahead and take out external range liquidity up here. That would put us on ES 533, 3350, right? And Q 18709, and then YM 40358, right? So I think that's ultimately where we're heading. As far as on, as far as on Friday, how we closed on Friday, just possible signs of exhaustion. The reason why I say is just looking at the candles over here. Also on NQ, there was a previous high that we couldn't displace above, right there at 266.25. And then also with YM, we're trading right back into a bearish fair value gap up here as well too. And then also we have this high, but actually I believe it's the body. Yeah, see, so that's one of the things to learn with ICT is about where the body is as well too. So we see price came up, touched, and then touched this candles open and then rejected off of that. So on the daily, we might have a potential reversal retracement, I would say. Not obviously.
Or are you looking at them right now, bro?
What?
Or are you looking at them right now? I was just looking at them. It had a breaker block on a 15-minute or on a 5-minute, and it just ripped through it.
Oh no, well, I mean, this should be no. I think this is probably delayed. But either way, yeah, I'm not going that deep into it. I'm just looking at it from a larger, higher time frame perspective. Um, yeah, ultimately, like I said, I mean, we may have some pullbacks along the way, right, with the exhaustion and everything like that. But ultimately, I still think this is where we're going for those that external range liquidity up there, in my opinion, when it's all said and done. If we do pull back, like I said, look for fair value gaps, especially ones that are broken structure. Look for price to trade back into that before we continue up higher. Because right now, market structure is to the bullish side from what I'm seeing on the daily and then also the weekly as well too. But again, can't really ignore the potential exhaustion that could be happening as well too. You said on the 5-minute. Oh damn. For which one, ES or NQ or YM? See there
Let me see. I think that was NQ I was watching.
on NQ.
Yeah, that's on NQ. From like 18 245 to 18,255. That's where a breaker block was at.
Gotcha.
Right at the top of that lower high at 18,254.75.
Oh, got you. Okay, yeah, still learning the breaker block. I did actually watch T Trey's video on it today, so I'm getting the concepts now. I just gotta draw them out and write them down so it can kind of burn into my memory.
So what makes this one different is literally right on the top of fair value gap, like right underneath it.
Yeah,
So that one is of course initially it's gonna reject it. It's gonna weak at the top and then it's gonna come on right back down. So you could realistically catch it for a scalp, but like twice, honestly. It's
yeah,
gonna test it or whatever. And then, it's gonna wick down and all the way into the fair value gap, which is the DOL on it. And then, it'll reverse to the upside.
gotcha. Well,
But
yeah, definitely that would fall in
I
line
actually
with what
have
I'm.
it.
Huh?
I actually have it up in the channel too.
Okay, I'm gonna check it out. But that would fall in line with what I'm thinking anyway, honestly. So like if we can get that short-term pullback so that we can move up higher, I'll definitely take that for sure. All right, so a couple of sectors that I definitely wanted to look at. Hold up. Sorry, Sal, I gotta mute you because of the TV in the background. Um, so a couple of sectors that we had looked at before, but I wanted to take a look at. Oh, why is it not typing? Oh, my bad. Let me go over here. That we had looked at before, but I want to take a look at again, just kind of see how it's shaping up. Again, you want to make sure you're checking out sectors always and see how they're setting up. Even if there's not an immediate play for them, you want to see how things are setting up. So looking at XLV, the reason why I wanted to point this out again may not be anything immediately actionable, but as you can see, with the previous month, we traded back into a fair value. Excuse me, we traded back into a fair value gap that broke structure, right? And it's a one-sided BSG break structure gap. In other words, a fair value gap that broke structure. The fact that it's one-sided means that it's stronger. So we would anticipate or expect price to trade back into the fair value gap, but to ultimately, where is it? Am I missing? There we go. But ultimately to do that, right? Just trade back into it, but then ultimate, like even if it's a full fill, like that's fine, because we're expecting it to still bounce. Now, if it does, that doesn't mean that this is 100% guaranteed. I want to be clear on that. But it does help that it's basically has another fair value gap right below it as well too. So showing a very strong bullish trend. Either way for XLV, what I'm saying is on the month, even if we do finish inside, look at this probably for the next couple of months. Probably I would look at this from now up until when's the end of Q3? July, August, September, right? Because you want to see how this month closes first off. But if we close bullish inside, that sets us up for a 2-1-2 reversal back to the upside, therefore taking highs all over again, right? Obviously, it's going to depend on how this month's end, but it is looking good for a bullish case, considering that we traded right back into the fair value gap, consequent encroachment, and then we bounced off of that. Looking at it from a weekly perspective, you'll see that we didn't take out the lows here, right? So that tells me that price may trade back up into these highs, but only to take out the highs, but then come back down, after grabbing that liquidity, come back down and take out this low over here. We'll see it, if it plays out that way. I'll keep this recording intact. But either way, for right now, what you're seeing is a mini, not a mini, but you're seeing the power of three, right? We have the accumulation here, and then we manipulated. Shit, my bad. We manipulated down, taking out this fair value gap, and also breaking the previous high as well too to the downside. Just couldn't take out the lows. However, we exhausted around the same exact range, so now we're looking for the distribution back to the upside if the power of three, if I'm correct on this power of three concept here. All right, and then on the daily, yes, we do have shooter vibes on the daily, but I think ultimately price wants to trade back up into this fair value gap. So even if we do pull back, I think, watching for price to trade up at least to 145. Maybe not to 146. We'll see how strong this fair value gap is, but I think that's what we're seeing here with um, with healthcare. And then ultimately, if I am correct, then we're going to trade up to take out these highs as well too. So again, I say watch healthcare. Obviously, this is long term, but watch healthcare over the next couple of months, especially if this thing starts taking off. It may even pull back into this fair value gap on the daily, only to bounce off of that. So just pay attention to that. You could look at some sectors like I think Sal that called out UNH a while ago.
Hey, futures is about to rip on NQ, I think. But UNH, I think that's good for continuation on the week.
Right. See, there you go. So, although I don't have it charted out, you should chart out UNH. I would even say again, I'm calling out tickers just because they're in the sector, not because I've charted them out. But Johnson and Johnson, UNH, Pfizer. I know some people don't like it, but it's very small account friendly. You can definitely get multiple contracts. No, it's not going to move like crazy, but it gets pretty directional. I know there's one Moderna, mRNA as well too, right? So I mean, there's definitely others like AbbVie and Abbott, but obviously I'm not going to tell you to chart every single one of them, right? Futures is about to rip. Let's see. Yeah, it keeps rejecting this fair value gap on NQ. We'll see. I love for it to just sweep, reject out of this fair value gap, and then up we go. Let's see if that happens by the time I'm done talking, or by the time this session is over. Okay. Another one was XLC. We had talked about this one previously, so I'm not going to go crazy into it. I'm still going to stick to my guns and say yes. Ultimately, XLC still wants all-time highs, right? I think it's one of the only major sectors that hasn't done it, but still think it wants all-time highs. On the long term, looking at the weekly, again, what do? We swept the lows, but we couldn't displace below. That coupled with a 2-1-2 reversal, I think, ultimately we at least had for 83.59 on XLC. So you should, yeah, and then we go 3-1-2 up on the day. So again, XLC, if you're looking to go bullish for the week, right? I think XLC is definitely one that you should pay attention to as well too. I think it can really pay out. Um, obviously y'all know that I was in Netflix. Looking for an opportunity to join back in, right? Didn't want to hold through the pullback, so looking for an opportunity to join back in. But yeah, it's not just Netflix, Meta, of course, chart Meta, chart small account friendly, chart Verizon, Disney is small account friendly as well too. Can't forget about Google as well too. So, those are definitely some. But yeah, I think this is pretty strong. Um, the the cybersecurity sector. So you have bug, and then also the other one that I'm aware of is cyber, CIBR, right? So um, I don't think when I look at the monthly, right, the monthly right now is currently green. So we want to watch that because if we flip it red, obviously that takes full time frame continuity. It might take, obviously it's going to take full time frame continuity, all bearish as well too. But looking back at the monthly, I'm not sold on the bullish run. I think we still have some room to head down, maybe trading back into this fair value gap, or we might skip over that one, coming back down to this one as well too. Looking at the weekly, again, we are inside. Yes, it is bullish, but we do have a shooter on the week, right? So that could be a pullback unless, obviously it wants to rip. It is still, again, it is still a bullish candle, but I'm noticing that we have not been able to displace above this candle, excuse me, above this previous low. So that tells me that, potentially it's acting like potential resistance. So we'll see what happens, right? We'll see if it pushes up, and hopefully, I would look for a candle to displace above this weekly previous low. If not, then yeah, like I said, we could see ourselves dropping a little bit more there. On the daily, we do have a shooter on the daily as well too. Again, If I'm wrong and it reverses, I'll be the first because I see that it is making higher lows. But again, can't really ignore the shooter, so we want to see how that's going to react. Maybe possibly it's going to come down to manipulating, take out these lows before pushing up higher. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I would look for, you can look at what's the ones that I'm looking at? That's Palo Alto, Zscaler is another one as well too. There's a couple others, but those are the two main ones that I trade out of that sector. Last week, not last week, what was it, Thursday? We had looked at XTN, so just catching up on, where it finished. Again, looking at the monthly, we're pushing up, right, so far. We traded into this fair value gap, complete gap fill over here. So, and now we are just, well, look, the month hasn't closed, but we are trading away from it at this point. So we'll see if we can, from a strat perspective, we'll see if we can hold the 50% retrace. Let's see, are we there? So the 50% retrace is 80-21. So from a strat perspective, if we can get above and hold above that over the next 3 weeks, we have potential for an outside month. If not, we just wanted to hold above that 50% retrace on the monthly. And if that happens, then there's a good chance that we go 2-2 reversal in the following month, right? For strat, it's always about what's setting up for the next two candles. So if we take this bullish two down and we get that 2-2 reversal, that sets us up to take out these highs. And then if we can get a continuation, we take out those highs as well too. And we'll see where we, eventually catch that resistance to pull back. Let me get rid of this. All right, now looking at the weekly though, on the weekly, we traded right back into just like before, right? But even better because we made that broadened formation, the one that I just erased. But we traded back into a BSG, a bullish BSG at that. And, we wicked off of it the first time, couldn't quite make higher highs until, actually we did eventually, right? We did make higher highs eventually. Now we traded back down. I think we're manipulating to grab liquidity. We took those lows. Obviously, we couldn't displace, so now we got a 2-2 reversal. We do have a fair value gap ahead, but we'll see how price deals with that. I do like the fact that we displaced back above the previous low as well too. So again, you may want to take a look at FedEx, UPS. We were talking about FedEx earlier, way too till and I think on Friday. So that's definitely, I have not fully charted it out, but I think that's definitely one that you should chart out as well, because it's also a part of XLI, and I believe that sector is still looking pretty decent as well too. So, all right, as far as sectors goes, that's pretty much all I got. The ones that I really, really paid attention to and really, really liked. I'm gonna jump straight into some of the, actually, let me see if there's any, no questions, good. I'm gonna jump into, let's go with the trades that, yeah, that we're still in, right? So, because some of y'all may actually be in. All right, so taking a look at cost, um, almost, I think, let me see, 78, yeah, we teased. 78, 787.19, almost all-time highs at 787.45, right, on the month. But as you can see, TTO almost there, right? We got 3 weeks left, so obviously nothing is for certain, but yeah, I mean, just go, at the very least, go take that liquidity before we start trading back down. Looking at the week, again, on the week, we do go 1-2-2 continuation. I'm sorry, not 1-2-2, 2-2 continuation. Created a BSG, fair value gap that broke structure, took out this high. So now we're looking to take out this high and go all-time highs. So I'm thinking one or two things can happen there. Either A, we take liquidity and immediately start, falling back in because there's a lot of sell orders there, right? But, or the other thing is Um, Sellers have, their stop losses in there. So if price, triggers that, then a lot of stop losses trigger and they are forced to cover, and therefore we could see a potential squeeze right before earnings. And that's the reason why I came up with I have that theory in my head because of the potential earnings run up. So that's what I'm thinking, that we could potentially squeeze shortly before earnings, and who knows, see this bitch at 820 possibly. We'll see how that goes though. There's a lot can happen between now and the 30th. But yeah. Looking at the daily, strong continuation. As a matter of fact, I think XLP as a sector. I'm sorry, I knew I was forgetting one sector. My apologies, y'all. Yeah, I just wanted to show y'all XLP is looking strong as fuck. So, Walmart cost, what PG's in there as well too. So yeah, definitely what KO PEP is in there. The small account friend, well, a lot of those are small account friendly, but like Kraft Heinz, KHC, slow movers now, but we'll get the job done, I promise. Obviously, you'll have to get multiple cons on it, but we'll definitely get the job done. So um, for XLP. So yeah, XLP is also, if we can, take out these highs over here, threatening to go all-time highs up at 81.34. So I mean, yeah, right, the 212 off of that inside hammer. I mean, lovely. Yeah, XLP, like, don't sleep on it, yo, for real. Do not sleep on it. Go chart Walmart. Go chart if you didn't get in costs with us. Go chart Walmart, yo. Like for real, this, don't miss out on it. Real talk. All right. So, all right. Um. So yeah, like I said, cost is still looking strong. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it did have a really nice push on Friday. Solid candle though, solid bullishness. So like no signs of exhaustion whatsoever. Like damn. But if we do pull back a little bit, I wouldn't be surprised by it. Just keeping it honest. But yeah, I totally expect to see us push again this week. I'm looking, yeah, hopefully, get that 800 with the ATR. It's definitely possible. It's possible to actually get that 800 on Monday. Obviously, I'm not saying that's the case, right? But
Bro, you got Powell and Biden talking Tuesday too.
what'd you say?
You got Powell and Biden talking Tuesday.
So that means either A, we could possibly, because we also have CPI on Wednesday. So that is another thing I wanted to talk about. It is possible, entirely possible, that we chop until after CPI. It's entirely possible that that happens. So please don't like get ready to go crazy or whatever. You might see exactly what happened this past week. Explosion probably within the first hour and a half. Then things just like chop forever. People fall asleep watching charts, etc. Because you may not get anything until after CPI on Wednesday. There's also PPI on Tuesday, so you may get a little something there. But I think ultimately the bigger thing for the market, although I think the Fed takes the PPI more into consideration, but I think the bigger thing for the market is going to be CPI. I mean, honestly, I try not to hold on to any biases when it comes to that because I've seen where CPI comes in hot and we run. I've also seen where CPI comes in low and we tank. So, I mean, honestly, it is what it is. Whatever happens, happens. If you're new to this, I definitely suggest do not go heavy before CPI, right? Like, don't. I would say take some profit, take some money off the table that Tuesday before session close, heading into Wednesday morning with CPI. Okay, so that's cost. The other thing that we were looking at was HD. No entries yet, no entries yet, but we were looking at HD specifically for we're looking for price to displace above this fair value gap. It didn't quite do it, but I'm looking forward to do so. Having it struggling a little bit with this bearish fair value gap over here on the weekly, as you can see, dipped in. So um, we do have earnings though on the 14th. So for now, this is going to be a watch until after earnings. Um, Honestly, it may even be after CPI, to be honest with you. So if I miss a run up, it is what it is. I can wait until price inevitably trades back into a fair value gap and I'll take it then. This is what swing trading is about. It's completely about patience. It's about measuring, twice, cutting once, right? We don't want to get in a situation where it starts running up on Monday, we jump in or whatever, holding that shit into earnings, and then all that shit gets reversed anyway. All right. But I do like the bullish case for it. I'm just being cautious because of earnings. I like that we took out lows on the weekly. We traded back into fair value gap. We filled fair value gap. And right now it looks like we're getting that reversal back to the upside. So assuming earnings is good, I suspect we trade outside of this fair value gap and then we just deal with this bearish one that broke structure here as well too. May potentially bounce off of that, but we'll deal with that as it comes if assuming earnings are good. Looking at the daily again, because how we ended on Friday, and then we also have fair value gaps above as well too to deal with. We may reject off on because this is the first time testing it. So we may reject and pull back, which is perfect in my opinion, because we get the pullback maybe back into the fair value gap. Earnings turns out bullish, and then we'll have that catalyst to take out, to add that buying pressure to take out any of the selling pressure, the sell side imbalance over here, right? So then we can continue pushing on. So again, just the watch for now for HD, but I would suggest again keeping it on your radars for sure. Let's see the other stuff that I got. CCL. All right, CCL is one that I kind of more have a more of a theory on it. In my channel, I gave you targets and I gave you contracts and everything, but I kind of have more of a theory on it. So looking at it from the monthly, right? Clearly, we are, in a downtrend, right? Um, we did displace below a previous low, obviously not convincingly enough. Obviously, the month is not done, but if we can displace below this monthly fair value gap, obviously that will confirm more of a bearish outlook. Looking at the weekly, um, the thing is on the weekly again, we are in a downtrend. However, I'm noticing that instead of continuing to make lower lows, we couldn't quite do it on this previous week. We're also exhausting around the same exact range as well too. Basically trading back into, I'm sorry, this is not supposed to show. Oh no, yes it is. Yes it is. Basically, we traded back into a weekly fair value gap, and so far we have displaced above it. Looks like this might have been the retest, so we might see actually a 2-2 reversal tomorrow on, excuse me. Yeah, sorry, this week. Um, for it to do a nice little bullish run. I don't think that bullish run is going to be like a permanent one. I still think we continue to make um, lower highs. But if that does happen, then what I would do is I would target price to come back up to this BSG, this fair value gap that broke structure, and I would look for it to reject inside of the fair value gap. So if you notice that CCL, excuse me, gets up to 1571 or even possibly 16, if it starts to exhaust and then reverse back to the downside, you can actually catch this both ways. You can take it from the calls, and then you can take it to the puts. Hold on just one moment, please. All right, sorry about that. Um, okay. So what I was saying is that we're looking for if it does go bullish, just take a quick glance at the daily, right? So daily's an inside candle, but if it does go bullish again, I'm looking for a price to trade up into this fair value gap. I've marked out some bullish targets along the way, 1487 and then 1528. So ultimately, I said to look for the 15 call for June 21st. Excuse me. Now, if it just goes straight, bearish and it goes 212 to the downside, then again, I would just target the 14 put 1398, 1380. But yeah, I think we may have that potential where it's gonna try to run up, right? It couldn't take out liquidity, right? So that tells me that we might get a run back up into internal range liquidity, which is the fair value gap, and then we'll bounce right back down into the external range liquidity, which will be this low right here as well too. So again, if we're straight bearish, 14 puts, again, I would probably say the 621. Bullishness would be the 15 call, 621. And again, if it works out with my theory, 15 call, and then you're gonna flip that into the 14 put. If it does reverse back to the downside, the 14 put for July 19th. All right. Um, yeah, that's pretty much all I got. I wanted to keep it pretty much clean this week. Like, because honestly, I'm looking at trades that I have, did well in, like Netflix and everything like that. So there's really nothing new to say about it. I'm just looking for retracements on those previous trades that I took profit on. And then I'm looking for an opportunity to enter them. So I'll alert them if I enter them. But for the new stuff, CAT, CCL, Home Depot, obviously, I'll alert when that happens. Still keeping eyes on Adobe as well too. Oh yeah, McDonald's as well too. McDonald's looks like it wants to go, but I'm gonna wait and see on that one. I love what it's doing, and we still have time. Uh, yeah. So for Adobe, the week was a little disappointing. So just keeping it on watch, right? It did go two up. But yeah, I can't really ignore that. We displaced right back below the swing low of 485. So I said if we had displaced above the 485, then yes, I'm gonna go ahead and take it. But um, nah, I don't like the way that thing's looking. So we'll see. It did kind of wick off a previous swing low at 498. So let me see if it wants to pull back into the broadening formation, also where a bullish fair value gap is on the weekly. See if it trades back into that. And then, yeah, if anything, we end up getting a cheaper con, and we can probably go ahead and target this fair value gap all the way back up at the top at what's that, 550s? Yeah, 557. So, yeah. But anyway, that's really all that I got. The recording, I'm going to post it a little bit later on tonight. Unless there are any questions, there are no questions. I'm sorry to keep it brief. It's just, yeah, I want to see how the market kind of opens up tomorrow.
Honestly, bro, I don't think we should be in too many plays until after they speak. I may get in a swing here and there, but it's not gonna be heavy because of you know this shit can go topsy turvy, in a multitude of ways and shit.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly why I, yeah, I don't really want to recommend too much. I don't really want to say much because, again, um, heavy news at the beginning of the week. So things could very much switch up by the time we have our next session on Wednesday. All right. But anyway, love, peace, and chicken grease. We'll update as we go on Monday. We'll see how it goes on Monday, going into Tuesday, and then Wednesday as well too. But yeah, yo, don't. It's okay if you want to say cash because you can save that cash up for after CPI, and then you can catch like the real nice move with volume, which probably will have institutional sponsorship behind it, and you'll definitely want to catch those moves. So don't try to like kill your portfolio trying to make 1,000 on Monday and Tuesday when the day that's probably going to have the heavier volume will be Wednesday. All right. All right, y'all. Love, peace, and chicken grease. Y'all have a great night. All 13 of you. Exactly, T. All right. Bye.